Welcome back to Eliances Heroes, where heroes in business align. To be part of our super community and find out more about Eliances, visit www.eliances.com.
All right, so welcome back, and thank you again, too. Listen, there's a site you need to go to. It's called Eliances.com. That's ELIANCES.com. Thank you for the feedback we continue to have when I had the previous and now current editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine. So make sure you check it out. Go to past, you can see past interviews at Eliances.com. All right, how do we make money? How do we make money? In a down economy, is it possible to make money? Well, we're going to hear about it. What about an up one? Well, it sounds like it would just make sense to be able to, but how do you find the niche? How do you make money with everything that's going on? Well, I'm excited because with us, we have Mike Maunu. He is and co-founded a 9-figure direct sales company. He's launched a patent medical food company to combat diseases and many other things. In fact, Mike, I think we could spend probably a few days just talking about all the things that you've done, people that you've helped, and ways to make money. Like, I guess I got to just jump off the bat. Was this just something you were born with or what?
I think it was. I started when I was 17 in business. I wanted to play baseball my whole life and go to SC, but I got hurt and I wasn't dedicated enough in school, and there was really no money in baseball at that time. It was free agency, so guys were making $60,000, $70,000 a year. So I went to work for my biological father's big construction company, and we did all kinds of huge projects in Southern California, like the J. Paul Getty Museum, industrial complexes. And I grew up working not only in the street, digging ditches and building walls and all the rest of that stuff, but worked my way up to the office and running jobs and scheduling jobs, selling jobs, running the construction crews. We had like 16 to 20 union construction workers. So I grew up in business my entire life, but one of the things I noticed is I didn't want to end up in my 40s and 50s, working with my hands and my knees and my back and the hard work that it takes. So I just migrated right into sales, and from there, it just kind of took off. At 18, I had a life and disability insurance in the state of California, probably one of the most boring jobs in the world in the late 70s when, everything was rocking and rolling. And, I moved on from there. So from there, I got bored easy. I found projects. I found company. I identified people with intellectual property that nobody else had. And then that's the way that we made things happen. And I went out there and just did things.
Yeah, and we're going to talk more about some of those things, but how did you even, again, you said you found things, but how are you able to find things? And yet there could be 100 people right next to you, but they don't see what you see of seeing that opportunity.
I think it's the education process, and some of that comes with experience and age, I'm going to say, being exposed to a lot of different businesses and opportunities, and understanding that there's so many Me Too products out there. And anybody that's out there that's watched Shark Tank for any length of time, one of the guys on there, his favorite thing is take that product or take that business out behind the barn and shoot it. Mr. Wonderful. He does it kind of in a negative way, but he's truthful about it. There's so many people that are chasing dreams where there's, they've got an idea or a product, but yet they never found out whether there's someone that wanted to buy that product or that service. They do it the exact opposite. And I found that out early on working with a lot of inventors that had garage full of products because they fell in love with their product, not realizing it was only a vehicle to the bank. So the first thing you really need to do is the old saying, find that need and fill it. So find something that someone has a pain point about, and then identify whether there's something you can do better than what's already being done. That's the Tony Robbins model. Model what works. Don't try and be different and clever. You'll be on the side of the road, and I've done that a few times in my past and lost millions of dollars. Take what works, make it yours, make it better, but find a product that someone really wants. If you've got this the ability to put something together, just find something somebody wants. And that's the problem with most business owners.
Yeah. And I mean, and you now, you co-founded a 9-figure direct sales company, 9 figures.
Yeah, that was in '93. I had just sold my long distance company. I was in the long distance industry in 1989, and I had a multi-million-dollar contract with AT&T. And I ran that for 3 years when divestiture was coming, when they made AT&T break up, and they wanted us to sign these big multi-million-dollar contracts. And I was very leery that I was going to get stuck with it if all my customers left. So I ended up selling that to one of my resellers. And then I started my network marketing company with 4 other partners. Most of us all sold out by the time 3 or 4 years down the road, but all the infrastructure, the products, everything was done. And that went on to do, when I left, it was doing $30-40 million a year. So cumulative, we did 9 figures my time. It grew to be $100 million a year company. And it was bought by a public company about 5 or 6 years ago. So it survived for over 20 years in the marketplace. And because we had a niche product that was manufactured a little bit differently that nobody else had, it had a patent on it. And then it became, how do I tell my story? It still comes down to how do you tell your story? You can have the greatest product in the world, but if you can't tell your story and you can't get in front of the right audience, you're never going to go anywhere either. And that's where the experience comes in, the ability to identify the missing parts or where you're lacking or you don't see because you're too close to the forest to see the trees. And that's something that I heard many years later from a guy I knew because I grew up in LA and doing seminars and everything in the 80s, Jay Abraham. And one of the stories he always tells about his past is how he was in 70 or 80 different businesses in his 20s. And he took away something from each one on what they did right and what they did wrong. And he used that in which to build companies and growth coach other companies. And that's really the key part, is where does the experience come from?
That's amazing. So if you weren't doing what you're doing now, all right, if let's say you just had nothing right now on your plate or anything of that, and just a full opportunity and the time, which I know is impossible because you run 100 miles an hour. I know you well, and you've got always so many things, so many things that you're working on, which in itself is, well, I'd like to talk about too. But what would you go into now? So our listeners, viewers, and everything, if there was anything that you can go into now, you didn't have anything on your plate now, Mike, what would you go into? Where can you make money?
Well, I think you can make money anywhere. And one of the biggest opportunities, if somebody has any fortitude, has any business acumen at all, and it's something you touched on in the beginning, is COVID and what we've gone through the last 2 years. So one of the things I've been trying to focus on early on, and I went through this in 2008, 2009, and 2010 when I was coaching business owners and trying to grow companies, is that most people pulled back. They went like this because they were so scared the world's going to end, the financial markets are crashing, the banks aren't loaning money, I can't pay my bills and everything else. Smart business owners went out and started acquiring other companies, either in the same industry they're in, or they provided ancillary products to that company that the company was previously buying. And they found a way to acquire those companies, either part or all of them. Literally every year, I think the numbers are 500,000, 1 million or more businesses shut down because business owners want to retire. They're old, they're my age, and they want to get out of business, and so there's companies out there that can be acquired right now. And that's the problem. And that was one of the gold mines the last couple of years, was searching out and finding companies. And with the tools like LinkedIn, you can find them all day long, okay, that are just reach out and talk to people. Are they interested in selling their business? Can you acquire the business? And here's the thing. Most people think that it takes cash to buy these companies, just like people thought to buy real estate with no money down, it had to be your cash. It doesn't have to be your cash. It needs to be your capital. Now, your capital can be cash. It could be your intellectual knowledge. It could be your portfolio of people that you know that can come in and help a company out. So there's all kinds of different ways in which you can structure these deals. So that's what I would do. I would look at whatever business I was in or I had knowledge about, and that's probably the other key thing. Do something you know most about, okay? Don't try and go out and learn a new business at the same time you want to start the business. Go after what you already know. If you're a plumber, painter, candlestick maker, there's all kinds of companies that need that help and need to grow or want to be acquired because they're tired of dealing with the headaches. So that's what I would do. I would look at for businesses that can be acquired and acquired correctly that have the right IP. Maybe they have a customer list they don't know how to market to. They don't follow up with their past customers. I mean, there's so many different things we created in our coaching program for coaches that you can literally help a business owner grow by 35 to 125% the first year without spending another penny on advertising or marketing, just by refining the 12 key areas that they're not doing anything with.
And Mike, do you offer, okay, we've got, variety of people that are going to be watching this and listening to this and that, of someone who may be looking at acquiring, they've got a spot on a one or two that they're looking at acquiring. Do you offer consulting services to them so they can get another professional view of it?
Of course. Yeah. I offer a 15-minute call, and we can either identify what you're trying to do or what your current company is. Okay. And see if there's some areas in which I can give you some ideas that you can go after. And from there, we can go from there. We also have a 16-week program that takes you through all the steps necessary one by one. You get access to a training video each week, a worksheet, a questionnaire, and then we jump on a group call at the end of the week, and then we have post-action follow-up questionnaire. So it's already done. It's a 50-week program, but we offer an introductory 16 weeks that takes you through all those key components, and it's much less expensive than if someone was going to hire me one-on-one, because to get me one-on-one is expensive. And I'm usually looking for opportunities, like you've seen some of the deals I have going right now, where I'm going to get paid and I'm going to get equity in the company to help it grow. But again, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it to cut off 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, because you do business with someone that may have connections that you need? It's that old connect. You're the greatest connector. I mean, you know everybody. I only know one other guy in the space that's a connector like you. And
well, if I know you, I know everybody now. In fact, let's talk about that, Mike. You're highly respected within the Eliances community. You're involved. You come to our roundtables. You meet many other entrepreneurs. What's the experience been like for you to be part of Eliances?
I love it. I just don't get there often enough, as you know, because I'm just so busy. I have a founders meeting right before that on Tuesday mornings. So I'd like to try and get there more often. But, as I said on Tuesday when I was there, it's amazing to look around the room and you see people that are the regulars that are there all the time, and they've been there for a long time, and they provide tremendous value to the group. And then you have people that you'll see one time, and then again, I don't come enough, but it seems like when I come, I don't see those people again. So what I'm getting at is that's why you want to come all the time. And I'm going to try and make that commitment starting either this month or next month. I got a few things on my plate these next couple Tuesdays, and come every week, because you get the opportunity to meet and network with more people. And I think that's the key critical thing. You'll find people that can help you out and help your network grow. And so the place you need to be is at Eliances.
Absolutely. And you can go to eliances.com. That's ELIANCES.com. If you're new, go ahead and fill out a roundtable application, and that'll be reviewed, where you may have an opportunity to meet member Mike live in person. So make sure you go fill that out. Again, we're hybrid, so we're online, we're in person, we're all over the world. All right. So let's talk about this other and again, another company that you're doing. We could do how many episodes? Hundreds of episodes just with companies that you're working with. All right. So you launched a patented medical food company to combat 10 diseases. And by the way, too, you can go to Mike Maunu. You'll see a link on the bottom too here.
And by the way, my name is spelled right here, but I didn't pay attention in the scrolling band. They left off one of the U's.
Got it. All right.
Maunu.
Got it. All right. So you hear that? Repeat that one more time too.
So it's my first and last name.com. The ticker on the bottom is missing a U.
Got it. We'll go ahead and we'll get that fixed.
So the medical food came about. I've had an e-commerce health supplement company for 21 years. We got our first patented on the supplement in 2010 for cancer. In 2014, we got additional claims for heart disease and chronic inflammation. That working with so many physicians over the years, that turned into a more advanced formula of the current one. It's a patented all organic plant seed oil. It's the building blocks of your 100 trillion cells. So now with the medical food, and medical food is one step below a pharmaceutical drug, but way above a health supplement. With medical foods, you can actually make medical claims that your product will help treat these diseases and disorders. So we have 13 now because we just got for COPD and various forms of COPD. But the main ones are diabetes, neuropathy, chronic illness, heart disease, cancer, blah, 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 blah. Because what it does is it helps restore the cell membrane so that they can get oxygen transfer. I won't get too deep here, but it's the healing mechanism in the body. And what's happened over the past 50 years is processed food and processed oils that we eat on a daily basis are now being incorporated into the cell structure of 100 trillion cells. When that happens, everything's screwed up. That's why you're seeing Alzheimer's and dementia now affecting younger and younger people when you never first heard about it to the 80s when Reagan got it in 2000. I think he was the first one, him and Nancy, to make awareness for it. But it's because your brain's 60% fat. It needs the healthy oils. The blood vessels are one cell wide. And if you're doing nothing but consuming processed foods or processed oils and you're not getting the real oils every day, and it has to come from food, and every medical textbook tells you that, your membranes are going to be plugged up. The signals can't talk to one another. Okay? We're getting phenomenal results with those with neuropathy and diabetic foot ulcers where podiatrists are using our product and literally holes in feet are healing, okay, in weeks or months as opposed to years. The number one death rate's caused by when you have an amputation for diabetic foot ulcers. It's been proven and tested at the Hyperbaric Center in Miami where they did studies on our product. So it's a phenomenal product, and it's only available through a licensed medical practitioner. And so the market that we're targeting, or I'm targeting, is those people that have lost their jobs that are medical practitioners because of their belief systems that still want to help people. Because there's millions of people that are getting no relief from supplements or drugs that are making it worse. And this is just an organic plant seed oil.
That's amazing. How did you even come across that?
Again, in 2007, I heard the guy who was from MIT that invented the product talk about it on the Mark and Brian radio show. I immediately chased this guy down to Houston, signed a licensing deal for his IP and the product in 2007.
Oh,
and then he got the patent in 2010. He's written 3 books on the matter. And then we released the medical food after we had enough tests and studies, including some major proponents. Dr. Rob, who was the head fellow director at the MD Anderson Cancer Institute, the largest reconstructive surgery center in the world, that was using our first generation product. He just retired at 74, 75. Faster wound healing, less scarring, no pain. In other words, people were getting off of opioids from using the product because it eliminates the pain, especially migraines. One of the worst debilitating diseases you can get. And I always thought it was just a headache.
wow.
Migraines are horrible. But again, because my eyes were open and I had been in that space and went, wait a minute, this guy's talking everything I know. It's the first guy with the brain. And I immediately hunted the guy down and flew to Houston twice and cut a deal. And that was, like I said, in 2007.
All right. So one thing that we could all do right now to try to stay healthy. One thing, is it avoiding a certain type of food ingredient, or what's the one thing, kind of, not the quick fix, but the quick fix?
There's probably 2 things. One is watch the oils that you're putting in your body. Canola is the worst. Okay. Try not to eat any oils or vegetable dressings or anything that comes out of a container or a jar. If you go to a restaurant, ask them what they make fresh, because there's no preservatives or chemicals in it. Anything else you're buying has preservatives and chemicals to keep it from spoiling, to resist oxidation. That's the exact opposite of what you want to happen once it hits the body. We want to attract oxygen. Not enough oxygen, you get a stroke. Not enough oxygen, you get a heart attack. Not enough oxygen, you die. That's simple. That, and try and eliminate the carbs as much as possible. And remember this is the calculate. Every 5 grams of carbs is 1 teaspoon of sugar. The body's only supposed to have less than a teaspoon of sugar running through its veins, or when you're resting, if it's higher, you're going to be considered diabetic. That's
All
a
right. So,
mathematical fact.
Mike, everything seems, almost everything, even almost including ear, seems to either have carbs, sugar, crap.
You just
So what
have
do
to
we do?
learn.
What
You
do you
just
eat?
have.
What do you eat?
I eat protein. I eat vegetables, but not to get nutrition, but because it fills me up. I eat natural fats are great. Never get anything that's fat free. Anything that's fat free has sugar and preservatives in it to make it taste good because it tastes like crap. Okay. You want real fats. They satisfy your appetite and fill you up. They make you less hungry. And try to just eliminate the process. If you're going to have a sandwich, use one slice of bread, fold it in half, not use two. Okay. Don't eat them all day long and don't consume carbs within 3 hours to go into bed at night. Your body's going to spend all night burning the carbs to get the sugar out of your bloodstream instead of burning fat for energy. You want to burn fat at night while you're sleeping. I literally will, I watch what I take it to the extreme. I'll watch what I eat and I'll weigh myself before going to bed. And the first thing in the morning, I'll wake up and I'll weigh myself. And I can tell how I ate the day before. It's very interesting.
I want a picture of what's inside your refrigerator. I'm serious. I want to see what's inside your refrigerator. I want to see in fact, share with me next time you go grocery shopping. I want to see your receipt because I want to get the same thing you get.
Sure, no problem.
I
No
mean,
problem.
because
I just don't buy. I don't buy anything in a box. Okay. There's a new section, especially if you go Costco, but there's all these keto foods now. The keto foods are low carb, perfectly safe to eat and snack through. They won't
keto.
cause an insulin. The only time you store body fats is when you release insulin. And you release insulin when you eat more than 5 grams of carbs at one sitting that you don't immediately burn off in the first hour.
So the safe word is keto?
Keto and paleo is pretty good. That's more heavy on the nuts and stuff. But any of those like that are perfect. But keto seems to have a much greater variety now because it's very big. And I lost at one time. I mean, I just lost 25 pounds since November. I didn't go to the gym, but maybe once a week. I do no cardio, and I just changed my diet. I stopped eating the snacks throughout the day.
Wow. And just incredible, incredible. Because I feel like I'm always, and I know others are trying to find something healthy. If it was right in front of us, we'd do it. It just takes that extra effort and then the know-how, some knowledge of where to look.
Carry with you packaged lunch meat, string cheese, slices of cheese, and when you get hungry, have a piece of lunch meat, roll it up with the cheese in the center, eat it. Perfectly healthy. You want to add a piece of lettuce, like a lettuce wrap when you go to Carl's Jr. I mean, I eat Carl's Jr. I love Carl's Jr. burgers. I just get it lettuce wrapped. I get rid of, 15 teaspoons of sugar with no bun.
Excellent.
I don't starve myself. I still love cheesecake. I'll buy a cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory and I'll make that piece last a week. I'll eat 2 or 3 bites in the afternoon or evening and I'm done. I'm satisfied.
Excellent. All right. Before we end this episode, I know it's important. I know you're close with your son. I want to know what secrets you share with him about life to be successful, like you.
He's pretty much, I've homeschooled him since he was 10. And I allowed him to learn the things he was most interested in. Well, obviously, he traveled with me quite a bit when I was going to events and meetings or speaking, and he heard me on the phone. I mean, I remember when he started on my product when he was 6. He's 22 now. He's a BMX racer. He came in first in California in BMX, third in the country when he was 15. Then he comes home and skateboards and takes a tumble and breaks his collarbone. And he goes, "Dad, I'm tired of all this stuff." So, now he's back to snowboarding. But he learned from just listening and being around. And he started acting when he was 8. Okay. And the one thing his agent and manager told him: don't let anybody tell you to be quiet. Engage with adults. That old saying of children are to be seen and not heard. Throw that out the window. Let kids learn how to interact with adults in the correct way. He still says, "Please, thank you, excuse me." Every time I leave the room or on the phone, he's telling me he loves me. "I'll see you soon, Dad." At 22, we have the best relationship in the world. So let them learn what they're most interested in, not what's forced down them by the school system where you have to memorize everything. Everything's available right here. Why do you need to memorize anything? Okay. And so he learned how to cook. He learned, his mom helped too, but he learned how to be a chef. He learned everything. I mean, he knows more about the health side of stuff than I do. I mean, it's amazing because he gets interested and he pursues his interests. So I never, ever try and dissuade him from what his interests are. I try and encourage them. Sometimes I will encourage them at the same time thinking, so he's been running our agency since he was 17, selling doctors, running Facebook ad campaigns, writing copy. I mean, he knows how to do all that stuff, building funnels. So.
Excellent. Well, Mike, I got to tell you, you work to create a better pathway to health for everyone. That's a hero. You help people, you help the community. You co-founded a 9-figure direct sales company, now launched a patented medical food company to combat 10 diseases. Plus, you probably got at least 15 to 20.
You forgot about my golf franchise.
Your golf franchise. I mean, the list just goes on. So go to MikeMaunu.com, reach out to him. Also, go to Eliances.com, where you may have the lifetime opportunity to meet him live in person and that. Thank you so much again, Mike, for being on the Eliances Hero Show.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Thanks, Glue. Appreciate you too. Have a great day.
You got to dance now.